I got people in the chat calling me a duck. Meanwhile, I'm living my absolute best life.
Incredible stand-up, knocks guys out with one punch, black belt in jiu-jitsu, really good wrestler, his everything, and he's young. Put the Tabora one. Look how fast he moves in. I mean, that guy's so fucking fast. Yeah. He moves like a 175-pounder. He doesn't move like a 250-pound guy.
So what happens when Aspinall fights Jon Jones?
There's some guys, they're just blessed. And then with Jon, it's blessed and his mind. He's not going to fucking lose. He's going to find a way to get you. And he's going to do it clever. He's not going to point the center of the octagon, let's go right here, we'll stand right here. Never going to happen with Jon Jones. You're getting knees to the gut, you're getting your knees kicked, laced up with elbows where you're fucking head's bleeding. He's gonna slowly dismantle you and find a way to submit you. But can he do that with a guy like Aspinall, who's a legit 255-pound natural who moves like he's 80 pounds lighter? He's a freak, man.
So what's your prediction if it happens?
It's hard to get better.
Joe Rogan has weighed in on the growing controversy surrounding Jon Jones and his potential fight with interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall. Amid accusations of ducking the unification bout, Jones finally broke his silence during a recent Instagram live session. Fans flooded the comments, calling him a duck for allegedly avoiding the fight. Jones responded directly, denying the claims and defending his position. Meanwhile, Chael Sonnen and other analysts have echoed what many fans have long suspected, that Jones may be hesitant to face Aspinall. Stay tuned as we break down this ongoing and explosive situation.
I got people in the chat calling me a duck. Meanwhile, I'm living my absolute best life. I don't know if it's considered ducking when you're living good. I don't think it works like that.
I've got people in the chat calling me a duck. Meanwhile, I'm living my absolute best life, Jon Jones said during a recent Instagram live. I don't know if it's considered ducking when you're living good. I don't think it works like that. Jones, who won the vacant heavyweight title in March 2023 and defended it against Stipe Miocic last November, had stayed quiet about a Tom Aspinall fight until now. His comments come as UFC CEO Dana White insists the matchup will happen, despite growing skepticism from fans and analysts.
Tom Aspinall, I didn't read it. I told you guys already, we'll get Aspinall versus Jones done. Jon Jones versus the heavyweight fight will happen. Just relax. I'll announce that soon.
On the other side of the controversy, interim champion Tom Aspinall isn't hiding his frustration. Holding an impressive 8-1 UFC record and having avenged his only loss with a stunning 60-second knockout of Curtis Blades, Aspinall has issued something of an ultimatum. "I'm well bored of the Jones conversation," he said. "I've had enough. We either need to fight or I need to move on."
Jones, you don't know where you stand. Dana said it's the biggest fight in UFC history now, so...
Yeah, I've had enough talking about it, mate. I'm honestly bored of it. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll just see. I'm ready to fight whenever they tell me, so just let me know. I'll be there.
Everyone thinks you're a bit of like a quintessential good guy. Could we see a heel turn at some point in the MMA world?
We might do. Who knows? Who knows?
Speaking on the High Performance podcast, Tom Aspinall expanded on his stance, suggesting Jon Jones's hesitation might be driven by financial demands. "I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but I'm literally the most dangerous guy in the UFC if you look at the stats," Aspinall said. "When you put him in there with someone my size and with my credentials, especially at this stage in his career, I think Jon's a smart guy. He realizes the risk, and that's why he wants to be compensated properly for taking that fight."
When you put him in with, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but I'm literally the most dangerous guy in the UFC if you look at the stats. When you put him in with a guy of my size who has them credentials at this stage in his career, I think Jon's a smart guy and he realizes that, so he wants compensating financially.
Perhaps the most provocative development comes from UFC commentator Joe Rogan, who offered a striking assessment of the potential Jones versus Aspinall matchup. "Jon Jones is one of the greatest of all time," Rogan said. "I do think he'll fight Tom. I think he'll hang on for one more moment of glory before the lights fade.
Is that the truth, do you think, or is it
Well,
just a
Dana
myth?
White says he's the greatest of all time. If you want to say, like, who dominated his division longer than anybody, who beat everybody that was ever any good in his division, and who never lost, that's Jon Jones. But the bottom line is Jon won all those fights. And then, you know, he wins the heavyweight title, too. It's tough to argue he's not the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I say, you know, if you had to only pick one, I would pick Jon. But I don't like only picking one because there's a bunch of reasons why other guys are in this elite class of being considered as possibly the greatest. He's got an octagon IQ that's as high as anybody ever. And he's also long as shit. So he knows how to use that length.
And I think he also has that little extra something.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Where he doesn't care if you die.
He's a bad man. There's no
He's
doubt
a
about
bad
that.
man.
One of the scariest Jon Jones finishes was when he choked unconscious Lyoto Machida and just dropped him.
Yeah, standing up. Oh,
yeah, he had him in a standing guillotine, put him to sleep, and just dropped him like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah.
That was dark. Jon's fight IQ is insane.
Insane.
The guy developed a spinning back kick at 36. Didn't have a spinning back kick his whole career. And then all of a sudden knocks out Stipe with a spinning back kick for the heavyweight title. And did a lot of his career partying, which is even crazier. One of the things he said to Daniel Cormier, which is one of the coldest things anybody's ever said. He said, I beat you when I was on coke.
I beat you after a weekend of back-to-back weekends. Came one, your ass the next. It was great.
I would love to go first because I like the Tom Aspinall fight. I don't think there's going to be an offer to Jon Jones. I think it's going to be Aspinall or retirement. Jon doesn't have enough money to retire, just to be fair. Like, he is not done fighting. He's going to fight Aspinall, and Jon's done everything right. There's no reason he should win. This is the undisputed champion of the world. He's also possibly the greatest talent we've seen.
Yeah, I don't know if he's done everything right, but I get what you're saying.
Not right, not right.
Yeah, I don't know about that quote.
Third company, right?
Yeah. Listen, I'm the biggest Jon Jones fan, but you know what it is.
Aspinall. I'd like to see him fight Aspinall. I don't know that there's anyone else he should fight, but we'll see. He seems to be like very hesitant about fighting Aspinall, and I don't.
When you say the Tom-Jon fight would be the biggest of all time, you're talking even bigger than the Brock Lesnar days at heavyweight as well.
Be the biggest heavyweight fight in UFC history by a long shot.
When you look at that fight stylistically, right, as you said, Jon, still amazing, still incredibly varied attacks, great IQ, but it would seem that Tom's advantage would be in the speed. When you look at that fight, how do you break it down and how do you think that could play out?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what Jon's going to do. Jon's one of those guys that I was saying earlier has the highest fight IQ. He's like fucking Elon Musk in the octagon, okay? This guy is brilliant in there, and the things that he pulls off, like you didn't see any of the spinning elbows tonight that he does normally. He did all different shit tonight. I'm sure he sat down and watched Stipe's tape.
Every time I speak to him, he talks about you being his inspiration, you being his favorite fighter, you being the guy he wants to be like. He looks up to you with the utmost respect. I mean, I was just talking to him about you, and he adores you. He's in a tough spot right now. I don't know how much you follow, but he's waiting for Jon Jones. Does he move on? He feels like his career is being halted by one man. What advice, if any, would you give to Tom Aspinall, who I think is very frustrated right now because he thinks he's the best, but there's a guy holding him up?
I think Tommy needs to focus on the next task. I remember when I lost to Matsera, I was making the mistake of trying to focus on Matsera to get my revenge immediately. But I had a few other fights lined up before to get to that. And if he's only focusing on Jon Jones, and if Jon Jones does not come back right away, he's not focusing on the right thing. He needs to focus on what is next, the next path, because the rest it's a distraction, you know, and things that needs to be done will be done. You know, I don't know what Jon will do, but as a fan, I would love to see this fight. I mean, because in terms of legacy and accomplishment, Jon Jones is the best. You know what I mean? And I understand Tom from his point of view that he's a proud fighter. He wants to be the best, but now it's all depend on what Jon want to do. If Jon still want to do this, if he's compensated fairly, all that plays. So Tom should not focus on that because it's outside of his control, and he's wasting a lot of energy focusing on that. And I know it's very hard, but he needs to sort of self-hypnose himself to focus on the next thing and be hungry about the next task. And by doing this, only focusing on the next thing, he's going to build up his legacy, and perhaps one day he's going to be the great.
Career, right? Jon Jones wins the title in 2011, and from then on has fought more fights as championship fights than he has other fights. So he's the most accomplished.
I remember when I locked on to him as far as static strength goes, I've never felt anybody like that in my life. Here's one memory I have. I'm in his guard, we're working, he grabs both my wrists, and I kind of sit up for a second, and I can't release his grip. He literally scoots his ass out, pulls his ankles behind him, and stands up with my hands.
I want to be undisputed champ because I feel like I deserve a shot at it. That being said, I'm also a professional fighter and I'm not fighting at the moment. That isn't really my fault though. That's more to do with the UFC. They really, really want to make the fight with me.
Going up for a paycheck, you know, that's not the Stipe of old, you know, that was in his prime anymore. So, you know, I don't think anything special that performance. I think Jon needs to stop ducking Tom Aspinall, just like he ducked Nagano. You know, he ducked Nagano for years. Now he's ducking Aspinall. So he doesn't want to fight the guys he knows he's getting his ass whooped against. So I don't think anything special to Jon.
So I think if you look at Jon Jones's early career, right? Jon Jones wins the title in 2011, and from then on has fought more fights as championship fights than he has other fights. So he's the most accomplished for sure. Wins the title, the earliest, youngest guy to ever win the title in the UFC. Beats Mauricio Shogun Rua, who's a legend. And then the way he dominates all these other fighters, up until you get to Alexander Gustafsson, you could make the
Aspinall Jones fights happens.
It's got to happen. I was sitting next to Tom the other week at the UFC in London and talking to him about it.
How do you think that plays out if they fight?
I'll be honest, Tom's a friend. I love Tom. He's one of the coolest dudes in the whole of MMA. Even though Jones is getting old, I just can't pick against Jon Jones. The one thing I do think Jon Jones has got the best in the world and the best ever is fight IQ. He has a perfect game plan to beat that person. As much as I love Tom and I want Tom to win, I couldn't pick against.
Sitting here, if you had to put your money on it, what do you think is the headliner of UFC 317?
If I had to put my money on it, I think they convinced Tom Aspinall to fight Cyril Gane.
Okay, that's.
I think if I had to put my money on it, I think that's the one that's being this far out. Like we're a couple weeks away, and
it's 2 months.
Yeah, we're 2 months out, and I think that they'll throw a number.
Jon Jones that you saw will not be the Jon Jones that fights Tom Aspinall. Teddy Atlas. I had this conversation with Teddy, and I said, Coach, he's not missing. He's spinning around backwards where he can't even see the opponent. I don't think he missed a shot against Stipe. When I spoke to Tom said he was watching slow motion. He said, I got all the respect for Stipe, but he was simply too slow, and Jon was too slow. Not one of those spins, not one of those.
Had to put your money on it, what do you think is the headliner of UFC 317?
If I had to put my money on it, I think they convinced Tom Aspinall to fight Cyril Gane. I think if I had to put my money on it, I think that's the one that's being this far out. Like we're a couple weeks away, and
it's 2 months.
Yeah, we're 2 months out, and I think that they'll throw a number. Like Tom wants to fight, and he'll be like, all right, I'll fight.
Is Jon Jones scared to fight you?
Yes. Jon is conning the public. The fact that he didn't want to fight Ngannou for 3 years and now he's not wanting to fight me for over a year.
Is that fight fucking happening?
The UFC are saying that it's going to happen. I think it's down to him and Dana.
Dana loves Jon Jones.
He's trying to grease up his ego.
Aspinall to me is no difference than an Owen St. Prude or Dominic Reyes or Anthony Smith. Be like just another up and comer that's exciting right now. And I'm not into gambling my legacy for what's exciting.
And Jon, if you're not into gambling your legacy, that to me sounds like you're scared of him.
And the work that he's put in, or lack thereof, I think he could have a tremendous future in the UFC. But the only champion he's ever fought against or beat was Andrei Arlovski, who way past his prime. So it's like you're beating guys who aren't even champions, and you consider yourself a champion. I would say the person that's most deserving, it would be Alex Pereira. Alex has beat many champions. He's knocking out everybody left and right. The type of fights that I'm looking for.